Oh boy, I finally get to talk to you about the new men's parfums from the house of Guerlain. These are parfum concentration fragrances of a few long-standing fragrances and one collection from more recent times, the L'Homme Ideal collection. This is it right here in Parfum. Then of course Habit Rouge and Vetiver also have gotten the parfum treatment. And I'm going to let you know about these three fragrances coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, you guys have been asking me about these fragrances. I actually posted about these while I was in France. About 3 weeks ago, maybe 3.5 weeks ago, I discovered them in France. They were just put out. The retailing for 165 euros. These are parfum concentration. They're selling here in the States for 175. So there's not much of a difference between the price. It's just the conversion rate pretty much for me. Whereas the price in Europe or in EU and France does include tax. The price for us in $175 does not include tax. So it's a little more expensive than what you would pay for back there. But as I said, I did post about these fragrances 3 weeks ago or so. And also, I mentioned these were coming. I did mention these were coming in December. If you remember, it's been discussed in a video. Although I didn't know what was coming, I knew that it would include some of these fragrances because the men's collection only consists of 6 different fragrance collections from Guerlain. We've got Habit Rouge, very long-standing. Vetiver, pretty long-standing. I mean, I think Vetiver is probably the oldest in the men's collection. Then L'Homme Ideal is probably the most recent. Then there's 3 that did not get the parfum treatment. There's Homme, the original Homme, not L'Homme Ideal. There's only 1 fragrance in that collection. There's L'Instant, which is what really got me into doing fragrance reviews. The L'Instant de Guerlain Pour Homme Eau Extrême, the fragrance that really got me enjoying fragrances a lot. There's that collection. And then, of course, Heritage, which I've been wanting to have a parfum of. So if I get a parfum of Heritage and L'Instant, I'll be very, very happy. But we are talking about these 3 fragrances today. These just launched. Are you guys curious to get your nose on them? If you've gotten your nose on these 3 fragrances, put a comment down below. And I'm always excited for parfum concentration fragrances. I really like my fragrances to be super intense and concentrated. And we do have that here with one of them. I feel like one of them is the best out of the 3, and I'm going to tell you right up front, it's the first fragrance I'm going to talk to you about. This is, got the wrong one in my hand, Habit Rouge. Habit Rouge Parfum happens to be my favorite in the trio of parfum fragrances from Guerlain. It just works really well for me. I like its intensity. I like the smell, the vanillic booziness, the leathery touches. The rum and vanilla together, super, super fantastic. But this fragrance, along with the other 3, are created by perfumer Delphine Jelk. And for me, I feel like Habit Rouge feels the most like a parfum. The other 2, I'll let you know about it. But it does feature rum, vanilla tincture, and patchouli. But there's definitely leather here. And the Habit Rouge is known for leather. You get that. But they're bringing out the leathery facets of the vanilla here. You get vanilla from a vanilla bean, so they're bringing it out from there along with that booziness. But to me, I feel like they've given us something kind of gourmandesque. I'm going to show you something here, one I've worn and cherish, and I have a few backups of this. This is Dress Code, which came in Eau de Parfum concentration, launched around 2015, I think, 2016, somewhere around there. It's been a favorite fragrance of mine, a flanker of the Habit Rouge series. Basically took it into a gourmand direction, which is what they've done here with the Parfum. Also, longevity-wise, it's really, really great, and its potency is really, really great. I wouldn't call this super beast mode. It's not that. I've experienced a lot of other beast mode fragrances. This is the most intense out of the 3, as I said, and it has really, really great longevity. I think it's the best out of the 3. For me, I get the most longevity with this one, and I really, really love this one, the way it smells. If you like Habit Rouge, you like that whole gourmand side of Habit Rouge, the vanilla, the booziness, and things like that, definitely this is a must try. Must try. Again, it's pretty highly priced. It's pretty expensive, but I think look for a promotion or something And I know in Europe they do promotions quite a bit at not department stores, but like Sephora, places like that, or like Marionnaud or Nocibe. I think that's how you say the name of that store. They usually have promotions, and take advantage of those promotions, because I think this one's totally worth it. But here's a few things I do want to say also. Now, they've been cranking out the flankers for Habit Rouge within the last couple of years. First of which was L'Instinct de Guerlain. I hated it. I really did not like this particular flanker. I felt like it went so far away from the original Habit Rouge. It gave me something marine-esque, weird, kind of sulfuric, cologne-like smell on skin. It just created a kind of a marine vibe with this. I didn't care for it. But you know what I cared for is the Rouge Privé. Rouge Privé is so damn good. So damn good. It's really, really great. And having both of these, I think it's great. Not only you can layer the two, because what I get with the Rouge Privé is more leather, and it's a bit animalic, a little animalistic, whereas the Parfum is more gourmand. So you can layer the two because it's sharing similar notes, so you're getting a gourmand take on a slightly animalic leather Habit Rouge experience. For me, it's been really tough to decide which one I prefer more. It's depending on my mood, because both of them do perform very similarly. The Parfum does edge it out a little bit more, but the fact that the Rouge Privé has the leather, I do kind of get very similar performance with the two, except for the fact that the Parfum is more higher concentration, and it's a toss-up between which one I prefer more. But both of them are really, really great flankers of the original, and I highly recommend both of these guys. Really, really great fragrances here. Habit Rouge is a long-standing fragrance, a fragrance my dad wore, so I remember it. It's a really, really great, fantastic fragrance. And here they've modernized the Habit Rouge in both of these flankers. Although the Rouge Privé might be a bit old school because of that animalic or animalistic leather touch, the leather is really amped up in the Rouge Privé. But as I said, if you have both, layer the two. You've got a bit more animalistic leather and also all the gourmand, boozy, vanillic touches. It works really well. Plus, you're intensifying the experience anyway. So you've got a really super potent take on Habit Rouge. Either way, those are my thoughts on the Habit Rouge Parfum. I feel like it's an amazing release. It's a great Parfum. Not super beast mode, but definitely intense and long lasting, which I really enjoy. So those are my thoughts on that fragrance. Now to the bit of a negative news, because I feel like with the L'Homme Ideal Parfum, they gave us a really great smell. Once again, it's a really great smell, but for some strange reason, it doesn't act like a Parfum to me. There's a thinness about it. There's no depth. Unlike Habit Rouge Parfum with its deep, rich qualities, here it's faint. It's more faint and more ethereal and airy. It doesn't have that thickness that I wanted. But once again, created by Delphine Jelk, they do say it's a Parfum concentration. It features notes of Amaretto liquor, leather, patchouli, and musky notes. What I like about this one, that there's a very intense patchouli note. It reminds me of the patchouli that was in the Sport Edition, whereas I did not care for the Sport Edition because it had a lot of marine touches. But when I wore that one, the patchouli was so amplified that it was almost like a love it and hate it kind of fragrance. One side of the fragrance I really enjoyed, the other side I didn't care for. But they've brought the patchouli in here. It's the second time I'm noticing that patchouli really intensely when I'm wearing the fragrances of the L'Homme Ideal collection. Maybe the Extreme was also with a potent patchouli note, but for me that was Boozy. It didn't really bring out the patchouli much, but it is here. But in the end, it's a nutty, almondy, boozy liqueur note. Leather does come through, and of course musky notes comes through as well. But for me, it's the weakest out of the three. But as a smell, it's super, super fantastic. I just wish something was different about this one and it had some heft, some oomph about it. It just doesn't come off that way. And sometimes fragrances just don't come off very thick, even though they're telling us they're giving us Parfum concentration. I'm getting more of an eau de parfum wearing experience, even though they claim that it's Parfum. So even though the parfum concentration is realistic or true, but when I wear this one, I'm getting more of an eau de parfum because there's that thinness about it that is just acting the way it does. And when you're comparing it to the other two fragrances in the trio of parfums, it's the shortest lived on skin. Smells super fantastic though. That's a great thing. And I really, really love that patchouli's potency in this. It's something quite sexy about it. I find patchouli to be quite sexy in fragrances, but it's weak. It's sadly on the weak side. This is me. I've heard people say, sometimes I say a fragrance is weak, but it's potent on them. You guys test it out and see for yourself. But when I'm comparing it to Habit Rouge Parfum, it's definitely weak because Habit Rouge Parfum outperforms L'Homme Ideal Parfum. For me, that's how I experience it. But again, once again, the smell is fantastic. I really love what the Delphine Jelk has done with the way it smells. I really love the almondy liqueur booziness, the leather in here, and even the musky notes. But what really shines for me is the patchouli. It gives me a bit of a soapy edge, some clean soapy edge with the earthiness of the patchouli against the Amaretto, Boozy, almondy liqueur, and leather and musky notes. So those are my thoughts on L'Homme Ideal Parfum. It's fantastic smelling. I just wish it performed better on me. But maybe it performs great on you and it's just the way it's experienced on me. Again, all body chemistry is different. We all experience fragrances differently. And most of the time I don't talk about performance in fragrances because most people experience fragrances differently. I sometimes say some fragrances are weak. Another person comes and says it's beast mode. I say fragrances is beast mode. Another person says it's weak. So it depends. It depends on chemistry. It depends on environment and things like that. But unfortunately, L'Homme Ideal Parfum performs weakly on me. And finally, the third and final parfum fragrance from Guerlain is Vetiver Parfum. So out of the three, this is my least favorite smell. But out of the three, it's the second longest performing in comparison to the other two. Again, Habit Rouge Parfum performs the best, smells the best. It's a winner for me. L'Homme Ideal Parfum, weak performance, smells great, fantastic. And on the other hand, Guerlain's Vetiver Parfum, I enjoy the smell. It's not a wow smell for me, but it performs better than L'Homme Ideal Parfum, but not as good as Habit Rouge Parfum. Once again, same price point here, 100 ml, 175 plus tax, 165 euros in France. The perfumer is Delphine Jelk. We've got juniper berries here, vetiver, smoky notes, tonka beans, coriander, and licorice. For me, I really, really like the way the fragrance is created with the coriander that's in here and also the juniper berries because there's a crispness about the way the fragrance wears with its earthy, grassy woodiness of the vetiver that's in here. Slight smokiness for me. It's not uber smoky, but it's overly aromatic and spicy, which comes off very fresh, clean, and crisp. Sure, it's definitely more intense compared to the original vetiver, but also don't forget Vetiver Extreme, which did feature the licorice note. Remember, the original, not the original, but the Vetiver Extreme, which is no longer selling, did have that licorice note. It was either licorice or anise. It's brought back here as well, which gives me this kind of light, aromatic, spicy booziness against all of the other notes that are in here. Again, for me, I've gotten bored of vetiver. I keep saying that. I don't know. Are you guys really excited about vetiver? Do you enjoy it? I like some other things in fragrances, but this one does smell really, really great. But when I compare it to the other two, I felt like this is not as exciting as the other two smells in the collection. But I think if there's somebody out there looking for a really great smelling vetiver fragrance with all the spicy aromatic touches, remember the juniper berries for me creates a crystal metallic, sharp, ice cold quality against the vetiver. And for the way the fragrance was inspired, or the inspiration for the fragrance apparently was inspired by a gin tonic, and that is the reason why juniper berries were added to this. Gin tonic, clean, metallic, sharp, ice cold. These are the kind of qualities for that cocktail. So it's a given that they would, you know, add juniper berries to this to give you that kind of spicy, cold, ice cold sharpness that juniper berries provides to fragrances. Again, it's not as beastly as Habit Rouge, but it's not as weak as L'Homme Ideal as well. It is a great scent. It's just, if you're into vetiver, get your nose on it. It's definitely much more potent than the original, and also reminds me a little bit of Vetiver Extreme. For me, Vetiver Extreme and the original Vetiver from Guerlain did have that minute difference with that whole licorice anise thing that was present in the Extreme, and I'm glad they brought it here and also added the juniper berries as well to give you this very fresh, ice cold, crisp, sharp, metallic qualities against the vetiver. I think this will be a great fragrance to wear in the summertime. It just has those qualities. It's got the depth, it's got the intensity, the spiciness, the aromatic touches, and remember, the kind of gin tonic juniper berry combo that's added here to give you that ice cold treatment. Anyway, that's Vetiver Parfum. Definitely fantastic release, but once again, my favorite is Habit Rouge Parfum. I absolutely love the way it smells, and I like the fact that it's reminding me of Dress Code. Again, there's a little bit of difference in the Dress Code. I got a little bit of the marine thing, and not too much. I think something is in here that's a light dosage of cologne or cologne-like that's also in the L'Instinct, but I get a lot more in L'Instinct in comparison to Dress Code. But for me, Dress Code was delicious enough and more gourmand enough than that kind of marine thing that I got from it that it was totally wearable. I absolutely love it. I never bought any of the other versions that came after this. I think they released it every year as a new bottle. The only one I have is this, and I think I have one or two saved in box of the original Dress Code. But if you've been looking for Dress Code, I think the Habit Rouge Parfum will do just fine. Again, a great release from Guerlain. I'm ready for Heritage and L'Instant Parfums as well. Those are going to be great. Really, really great. And if they bring L'Instant Parfum, L'Instant de Guerlain Pour Homme Parfum, it's going to go back to the way when I first discovered L'Instant de Guerlain Pour Homme Eau Extreme, because that was, like I said, the fragrance that got me into doing fragrance reviews. And I'm hoping that they would go back to when that fragrance existed in the brown-rimmed bottle. Do you remember that bottle? I'm hoping. And I'm hoping, I don't know if they're going to do this. I'm hoping they will launch a Heritage Parfum and also L'Instant de Guerlain Pour Homme Parfum. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.